So right now, walking in Brooklyn, basically my hood here in Flatbush, and so I want to respond to this one video that I did, pretty much talking about Kamala Harris and whatnot. Now, before I get into that, I just want to say that this is probably going to be a bit of a long video. So if you're looking to just dip out in 30 seconds, here's your shot. I also want to recognize those new subscribers that joined my community in the last couple of videos. I appreciate and acknowledge you. And, it's steady growth. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. But anyway, I want to follow up on that particular Kamala Harris video. It was doing pretty decent, some good traction. I also want to read a few of the comments that I've got, and some of the comments were pretty detailed, very detailed. I did have one troll in the comments, and another one was just kind of like people just making statements like, oh, I don't know where you grew up, and I don't know what's wrong with you, just because I'm supporting the orange guy, basically. So, as I said in that video, I've never voted for anybody in my life. I was never really a political guy. But being a New Yorker, especially when you're a New Yorker, things can change very quickly. It can go from really bad, or it could be somewhat okay, very fast. So, with all that being said, I watch the news like everybody else does. I read the newspapers. I watch the podcasts. I do all that stuff, because I have I'm a very curious person. I like to take in as much knowledge as I can. So of course politics comes up, and so seeing the way the country is now with that woman and Biden in versus what I remember the country being back in 2016. Now, people, they can hate Trump, which they do. I mean, there's been 2 assassination attempts on his life, so people really do hate him. But it's just funny to me when some people are like, he's going to be a tyrant, he's going to suspend, I think, what does this chick say? She says that he's going to suspend the Constitution. I'm like, look, if the guy wanted to do that, don't you think he would have done that during his term? Because I can tell you this much, during Trump's term, I don't recall a whole bunch of migrants running the streets of New York or anywhere else in the country. I don't remember that, do you? Because I don't. I don't remember criminals not fearing the police. Like, I've seen migrants literally beat down a cop or something, and they arrested the migrant, and he was released in a matter of hours. So I'm like, I don't know how that makes sense. Maybe that makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to me. So I think the point that I'm trying to make here is I find it odd that people want to say that Trump is like this demon, this hate-filled guy, but yet and still, when he was in office, the country, like I said, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows, but the country wasn't as fucked up as it was now. Like, this is just a fact. So whether or not people want to acknowledge reality, that's on you. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not too thrilled on either. But if I'm judging somebody based on their capacity to do the job, I think the choice is clear. Now, a few major things happened very recently. Trump went on Joe Rogan's podcast, which happens to be the #1 podcast in the world, to my understanding, right? I love Joe Rogan. I follow him. And Kamala Harris went on Club Shay Shay, which is Shannon Sharp's podcast. Now, admittedly, Joe Rogan is a very large podcaster, right? He's #1 in the world. So the audience size is vastly different. However, the sheer like to dislike ratio for both podcasts was amazing. When Kamala Harris went on Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp's podcast, it got ratioed all to hell, meaning that there was far more dislikes than likes. In fact, going to the comment section, I've seen people literally say, I'm here only to read the comments. So now I partly watched the Joe Rogan podcast with Trump. Trump was on there for about 3 hours. And so I only watched about an hour. I have to go back and watch the whole thing. But I think the last I saw it, I think in like a day or two, he got like 35 million viewers. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So, and then he has like so many, like the like to dislike ratio for Joe Rogan's podcast that he had with Trump was overwhelmingly positive. Contrast that with Club Shay Shay. If you go on YouTube right now, just look up Kamala Harris, Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay. You'll see that there are far more dislikes to likes. And you would think Club Shay, he's black, he's catering to a black audience. You would think that there'd be more people that's supporting her on that platform. But, oh well. So, like I say, sometimes the person that is best for the job, you may not like. That's like if you go to work. Do you like your bosses? Do you like your supervisor? You probably talk behind that person, man or woman, all day, behind their back. But chances are, I mean, there are some exceptions, that person, that's your supervisor, is more than likely the best person for the job. So this is how I feel about Trump. Like, you don't have to love him, you don't have to hate him, but the fact of the matter is this, is that he is out of what's available to choose. He is the best overall candidate to be president. I'm sorry. Like, I made that video last time to see, one, how many views it would get, and more importantly, who would comment and what the comments would be. And like I said, I had some good comments. Some of them were detailed, but a lot of people, they just hate Trump so much that at the end of the day, they don't want to accept the fact that during his term, while not perfect, it was still much better off for the country as a whole. Because I can tell you, last year, during New Year's, when I was walking through the streets of Manhattan, Times Square, I have never seen so many migrants on the street in my life. It was like, it was a totally different vibe. It was a totally different situation. I wasn't prepared for it. So maybe, actually, no, scratch that. There's something I was kind of like, I had in my mind that I always wanted to say on camera. This woman wants open borders, right? So she wants open borders so much, I wonder, does she close her door at night? Wherever she lays her head at, wherever she lives at, does she close her door at night? Because if she does, then if you're willing to close your door, and if you're a supporter of this fool, and you believe in open borders, because that's what she does. She wants open borders to bring in all these migrants to convert them into Democratic voters. Let's just stop the cap. We already know what's going on. So as a result, you're bringing in a lot more crime, a lot more disease. It's just, it's not a good look. Now, are all migrants bad? No. However, when you're undocumented, it becomes an issue. But this is what this chick believes in, and this is what she's pushing. It's what's been happening. So that's my position is, if you believe in having open borders, then why don't you just leave your door open at night? See what happens. See what happens if you just leave your front door open, leave out, go to work, and see how your apartment or your house is when you come back. Because I can tell you this much. The way you left it is probably not going to be the way it's going to be when you return. But that's on a very small example, because you have to understand that when you have open borders, that's exactly what you're inviting. So I find it hypocritical if this woman or people that support these type of ideologies, if they're the type, when they go to work in the morning, they're locking their doors. If you support Kamala Harris and you want one come all, let's open the borders, keep your door open at night. Because, even me saying it just sounds stupid, because it is. It's as stupid as having an open border. Like, I get it. You got people that come over into the country, but do it right. Do it legally. But, it's just funny to me that with Trump saying things like this, he's a demon for wanting people to be properly vetted and coming into the country. He's a demon for wanting to keep automatic and manufacturing in America, which will save states like cities like Detroit and other states that rely on the automotive industry. He's a demon because he wants to put America first. So instead of countries creating a whole bunch of products and selling it to us through, with crazy pricing, he instead wants those factories here in America so that we can have actual Americans working in these plants, creating products for Americans, by America. But he's a demon for that. Like, I really question what people really are thinking. Like, are these people, are y'all American? Like, this is crazy to me. Like, here's something else that just boggles my mind. This is something else that just really it just makes no kind of earthly sense to me. Is whenever this chick is giving an interview, everything, it's a growing meme at this point. Everything is, so Miss Harris, Madam Vice President, what would you do on your first day as president, your day one? Well, okay, so, thank you very much for asking me that question. And, I come from a middle class, she's always coming from a middle class family. You ever notice that? The whole thing is, I come from a middle class family. Like, I wish these people would say, Madam Vice President, we didn't ask about your upbringing. We asked you a specific question. What will you do as your day one in office as President of the United States? But instead of getting a clear, concise answer, or at least a halfway concise answer, what you're getting is a whole lot of exposition on how she's a middle-class family, And it's just ridiculous. Like, she's the type of person that she's like a Captain Obvious. She will say, oh yeah, groceries are high, taxes are high. Okay, Madam Vice President, what will you do about the high groceries? Yeah, but I understand the groceries are high. Yes, man. See, you cannot get an actual answer out of that babbling idiot, because all she wants to do is cackle and laugh her ass off. That's all she does. This is the main reason why, and I touched on this prior with Joe Rogan, people were wondering, well, is Kamala Harris going to be on Joe Rogan? Well, then it turns out she wants Joe Rogan to come to her and only do an hour. But yet and still, Trump went to Austin, Texas. Oh, and mind you, Kamala Harris was also in Texas as well, right? So they were both in Texas. Trump does Rogan for 3 hours and then immediately goes off to some other rally somewhere. I forgot what it was. I do remember the day that the podcast came out, and I saw like, oh damn, it's 3 hours. But then on my feed, I think it was on YouTube, I think I got the notification on my Twitch, and it was like Trump was doing a rally. I'm like, damn, he just finished the show. So the man is working. The man is like 70 plus years old, and that man is going. He's going for it. But yet and still, this chick, this entitled cackling fool, wants Rogan to go to her and only speak for an hour. And I can guarantee she wants pre-scripted questions. She doesn't really want a conversation with Joe Rogan. You know why? Because Joe Rogan is a very unique individual that he can have a conversation with just about anybody. And through that conversation, you may think, oh, it's just a conversation. But when you're speaking to somebody in a very laxed type of way, a lot can be revealed about you. And it's these things that someone like a Kamala Harris does not want. She does not to be found out on the world's largest podcast. See, she can do the Club Shay Shay As, which I respect Shannon Sharp and everything else, but Shannon Sharp is not Joe Rogan. They're not even in the same stratosphere. So her having a very bad showing on Joe Rogan would basically kill her campaign overnight. That would kill her campaign. So that's the reason why she only wants to do an hour. See, people need to open their eyes. You need to start thinking critically and use your brain. Like, this is why, because she knows. And actually, you know what? I don't even think she knows. I think her people were telling her. Like, look, Miss Harris, you cannot go on Rogan. And if you do, you can only give him a half hour. Because an hour is kind of acceptable. Hold on, I'm passing by some noisy equipment right now. Let me go walk past this real quick. Let me see. All right, we back. So her people more than likely told her, if you go on Joe Rogan and you bomb, like you screw it up, your campaign is done. Like they will not let you off of that. So I just think a half hour is very egregious. An hour is kind of fair, right? An hour is kind of fair, but it is also very telling that, let's just say this. Let's say if Trump did not do Joe Rogan. Let's say if Trump didn't do Joe Rogan and if he did, he wasn't on for 3 hours. Then this thing with Harris wouldn't be such a big deal. But the fact that Trump went to Texas, in my opinion, specifically really with the main objective to go on Rogan, speak to him for 3 hours, okay? And it wasn't a boring interview either. The man was going with it, you know? I can't wait to watch the other 2 hours. I'm pretty sure they're very similar to the first hour I watched. And then all of a sudden now we're looking to see if if Harris would go on Joe Rogan, but now she doesn't want to go on Joe Rogan because she wants what she wants. Like that's basically what it is. She's entitled. So if you're a Harris supporter, I would venture to say that you're a Harris supporter for the simple fact that your hatred for Trump is so powerful that you would basically vote for anyone else that is not Trump. Like that Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. Like people literally hate this guy. And I'm like, wow, like I get it. I understand. Everybody is not perfect. But it's just funny to me. I think it was during that Democratic National Convention that happened maybe about a month or so ago, where I think it was either Hillary Clinton, that woman definitely belongs in prison. Odd though, how all of the bullshit that Hillary Clinton did, nobody's coming after her. All of the nonsense that Joe Biden did, and along with his son, nobody's coming after him. But yet and still, you want to weaponize the Department of Justice and go after Trump. Like with a feverish intent. Like it's insane to me. It truly is insane to me. So, look, whether you support Trump or Harris, my thing is this. The country back in 2016 was far better off than what it is now. And that is a fact. That's a fact. That's a hard pill to swallow. It is a hard pill to swallow. But that is just what it is. Now, you guys who might comment, may comment, and y'all probably will do a Google search and create a whole thesis statement, a whole midterm exam length comment, adding all these facts and figures. I'm like, look, you can do all it, because there's some that are in the comments that did that in the last video. And I should get to them, right? I should get to them because this video has been going on for 22 minutes. And I don't know if anybody's still watching at this point. But yeah, those people that left those lengthy comments, I appreciate it. Engagement is always good for YouTube. But look, I'm not about to go and do a research paper like comment to go back and forth with somebody, you know. But, you know, I appreciate the engagement. Because I just know, and I'm going to keep overstating the point, that the country, back when Trump was in office, it wasn't perfect, because nothing ever will be, but it damn sure was better than the shit that's going on now. That is an absolute fact. You cannot, there is no reality anywhere that anyone is going to convince me that the Biden-Harris term, their administration, that this was a better off situation. No way in hell. No way in hell. This entire administration, this entire term has been arguably probably the worst. I mean, George Bush was pretty bad. And then Obama came in, and even Obama had his issues. And it's funny, a fun fact about Obama is that he had the most deportations, apparently, of illegals than any other president in the history of the world, of America. So I found that to be a very interesting fact. But with the amount of people that's in here now, thanks to good old cackling Kamala, yeah, it's just crazy, you know. And but anyway, let me get with these other comments. I'm gonna do my other phone here. All right, let me look at this guy. So this guy, I won't list his name because I don't want to, like, you know, blow anybody up. I mean, you can always go to that video. I'll link the video after I upload this one. But yeah, this guy says, I'm a Christian man. I haven't been heavy into politics much, and I'm very, very unsure to vote at all because both Trump and Kamala are not good choices, but I'm a reluctantly vote for Kamala because as a black man, for me, Trump has shown very clearly disdain for many people of color. His incompetence and disregard for truth and life with many of his actions and words just said the fact that he can get away with multiple crimes and stealing government documents says some, but nonetheless, I'm not saying that Kamala doesn't have her faults and many things that I disagree with, but for me, she is a better option. I'm not a Democratic nor Republican, so I'm not simply voting for a party just 'cause. So that's a pretty detailed, I would say a decent, a rational perspective. So I said this. So I said, I appreciate you taking the time to engage. However, I think you are misinformed. Number one, if you are speaking about the so-called crimes he was guilty of, they were largely real estate based. Most, if not all, the banks he did business with went on record stating he repaid them and that they would do business with him again. Two, he was a large contributor to historically black colleges, giving them the money needed to avoid tough times all the while previously. Obama did more for mentally disturbed alphabet folks than his own people, so there is that. Now, I didn't get too much in the weeds with that because there's a reason why Obama, I feel, didn't do enough for black people, and that was really a major thing amongst black voters and black people in general, that when Obama was in, they felt that he did more, and which he did, it's true. Obama did far more for the gays and the lesbians than he did for black people. And that is a fact. But in my opinion, just to put it out here right now, he was a black man in the White House. And I don't feel that a lot of those people that he needed to run things past were going to allow him to help black people. That's just my own opinion, because if I'm not mistaken, when Obama, during his 2 terms, I might be wrong on this, but I think he had the Democratic Senate and the Congress for the first 2 years of his first term. And then the second half of his first term was Republican, and his second term in office was Republican. That's what I've heard. Now, you might say, well, isn't Trump Republican? Well, here's an interesting fun fact behind that. Maybe I'll get back to the comments, but I just want to kind of hammer this in. On the Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan asked him, hey, how long have you been Democratic? Or he said something to that effect. And he said, yeah, I've been a Democrat since the 90s. I think he gave a specific year, 94 or something like that. But he said that he switched to Republican because he recognized that where the Democratic Party was going was just, it was becoming a little too extreme. And I think somewhere in that exchange, he mentioned, Trump mentioned that, oh, I know you like, Robert, RFK and Bernie Sanders, they were primarily running as independents. And then that's when Trump was like, oh, when you're running, it's very hard to run as an independent because we largely, to my understanding, we have a 2-party system. So the 2-party system, it's hard to kind of gain any real traction when, you have to kind of pick a side. You have to be either Democrat or a Republican in this day and age. Now, so just because Trump is running as a Republican and he has some conservative viewpoints, he's not like a typical politician. And I like that he explained that during the podcast. He was like, yeah, I was a businessman, so my mentality toward things is vastly different than a typical politician. Like, I'm telling you, If you have not watched that Joe Rogan episode, definitely give that a watch. You'll definitely be, you'll learn a lot more about Trump the man, you know, and I think it's well worth your time, because I'm gonna definitely, probably when I get back to the crib, I'm gonna watch probably at least another hour of that podcast and just kind of, you know, relax and whatnot. See what type of editing I want to do with this video. It's funny. I'm up. The video now is 31 minutes. I can't wait to upload this video and watch the audience retention be like 2 minutes. So that means the 30 other minutes nobody's gonna see. But it's all good. You know, it's cool getting out here, walking, talking about things that need to be talked about. And I definitely encourage people to jump in the comments and share their views. And, you know, just, you know, if you're going to troll, at least be good at it. Don't be an obvious troll. You know, that's something that I'll say about that. But anyway, let me get to another comment here. As I actually thought about doing this as a live stream, but I'm not too sure if that would work out. So what does this guy says here? This other guy says, so this guy, this guy, I was about to mention his name. So he says, also, okay, so he's definitely been commenting with me back and forth, okay. So he says, also, we are a nation with rules and laws. Regarding Joe Biden, you can't be more wrong. Wow, okay. Slow down, my brother, and think about what you say. You can't be more wrong about Trump. He's a complete idiot. All right. So to that guy, and I hope he watches this video at this point, if Trump is a complete idiot, then what does that make Kamala Harris? And explain to me, how is Sleepy Joe, how is Crooked Joe Biden still officially the president of the United States? That's what I would like to know. And you know another thing I would like to know? Another thing that I would like to know is, if they're saying that he was incompetent and, you know, he had to be removed from office for the fact of, you know, to allow Kamala Harris to swoop in because she wasn't even nominated. That's another fun fact for you guys. Basically, people are arguing and saying that it was a coup. It was a coup. I don't know if it was that serious, but what I will say is Biden did not want to step down. And also, I believe he was forced out by Nancy Pelosi and other people of the Democratic Party, and also along with Obama probably talked to him. So my thing is this: if you're telling him to step down, and the charges, the actual criminal charges against Biden and his son, but they're saying that Biden is unfit to stand trial, how in the F is he, if he's unable to stand, if he's unfit to stand trial, then explain to me, how is he fit to be president still? Make that make sense. Make that make sense. That's what I want to know this. Let me know that in the comments section. If you find that a sitting president is unfit to stand trial for actions that he did, how in the hell is he still president? And if Trump, like this guy commented to me, if Trump is a complete idiot, what the hell does that make cackling Kamala Harris? Like, this is insane, man. You can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. Like, what else? What else this guy? Let me see. Okay, so this other guy, this comment came 30 minutes ago, and right now it's 11:28 a.m. here in New York. So this guy says, I honestly don't believe you are open-minded. I honestly don't believe you are open-minded if you watch Trump and watch Kamala and say Trump gives more specific policies than Kamala does. The nicknames give away the game. Oh my goodness. I think this guy, wherever he's getting his news from, I think he needs to check those sources. Because when I watch Kamala on these interviews, you know, and these guys giving her softball after softball questions, and you know, and she fails to answer the simplest of questions. And then 9 times out of 10, she's invoking Trump in almost every one of her answers. And getting back to that other question that was asked of her by Dana Bash. It was about a month or two ago on CNN, asking her, "Oh, well, in your first day of presidency, what will your day one look like?" And it was just, I have to keep going back to it because it was so hilarious to me. It was so hilarious to me that, all right, this is your day one as president. That means Trump is nowhere, he's not even in the picture. He's done. He's in the rearview mirror. This is your presidency. How is like the second thing you're saying, you're talking about Trump? Like, are you serious? How are you talking about Trump if we're talking about what are you, Kamala Harris, gonna do in your day one as president? And then she goes on another, I think it was another show or another interview, and someone asked her, is there anything that you would do different from President Biden? And what did she say? Well, nothing comes to mind. So anyway, let me close out with this, because this is going on long. So yeah, as I said earlier, the Joe Rogan podcast happened, and yeah, so the Joe Rogan podcast happened, and also they did the thing at Madison Square Garden, right? Now, I do not agree with what that fool, that comedian, I didn't even know who the hell he was. I had to really think about it. This guy, Tony Hitchcliffe, he looks like a little weasel. I didn't really find him funny at all. I've seen him a few times on Joe Rogan's show, like kind of like sitting in the cut or whatever. But I didn't really think about it because I didn't really see him that often. So when this guy, I didn't even know he was a comedian, honestly. So when he said that about Puerto Ricans, about the Puerto Rico and whatever, yeah, that shit was, that was too much. That was definitely too much. But again, with situations like this, unfortunately, even though Tony said it, it kind of falls to Trump. And this is why the radical left, because they're so desperate, they're clinging on to this. I saw the articles, oh, Trump called Puerto Rico a land of garbage and whatever. And I'm like I knew something like that was going to happen, because Trump doesn't see, it takes a lot of trust because it's live television. So if I'm called to speak by Trump and I get on stage, I can literally just say whatever is on my mind before they get me off stage, but the damage is done. So I don't know if Trump knew what this guy's material was going to be. I don't know if he knew that he was going to say the thing about Puerto Rico or whatever he was going to say. I don't know. I can't imagine he knew and just was like, all right, I'm cool with it. I can't imagine that. But unfortunately, yeah, it is bad press for Trump, and it's unfortunate. Because yeah, I didn't find that guy funny at all. You know, if that's your deal, and your deal is to make comedy like that, where you're just pushing those boundaries. In fact, you're not pushing the boundary. You're like destroying them, and you're saying X, Y, and Z about an entire island of people. If you want to do that on your own house show, to where if you were to get booed that's fine because those boos are on you. And then they'll boo you off stage. But to say that at a presidential rally, as significant as this one is, Madison Square Garden, and this, you know, it was he could have left that one out. So I 1000% do not agree with that fool, Tony Hinchcliffe, because that's something he could have saved that for like something else. That was the wrong time to push boundaries on that. That was the wrong fucking time on that one, in my own opinion. But, you know, I'm just hoping, me personally, that Trump wins, because this country, as far as I'm concerned, it cannot survive 4 years of Kamala Harris. And I ain't saying we all gonna, you know, be eliminated or anything like that, but the way things are right now, it will only get worse with her in office. And I'm 1000% confident about that. I'm 100% confident about that. But yeah, you know, I think that's probably where I'm gonna leave it off. It's like 42 minutes, so definitely like, comment, share, subscribe. You know, like I said, you know, I'm a small YouTuber trying to grow. My thing is, I don't really care if you disagree with me. I just care if you understand me. And I think that's the basis of arguments, where if you don't understand somebody and you disagree with them, you may be disagreeing on something that person didn't say. So, you know, I like to try to keep it respectful. I try to have an open mind, but look, it's hard for me to look at Kamala Harris in any kind of positive light when every single time I see her do an interview, it's just not good. She rarely, if ever, answers a question with a direct answer, or even a halfway direct answer. She's a cackling idiot, and she wears those Bluetooth earrings. And believe me, I didn't even get into that in this video. I didn't even get into that, honestly, you know. But yeah, during that her highlight of her debating Trump on stage, and there was a guy in my comment section saying, "Oh, she was baiting him," and this, that, and the other. I find it funny that during that particular interview, hopefully I don't get ran over by a car here. All right. So during that particular interview, she was wearing, now I didn't know anything about these things until somebody highlighted it. And I think they call it a Nova 4. They're like Bluetooth earrings where somebody is able to actually feed you information through the earrings. And I thought it was kind of odd how during that debate, she was sounding far more coherent than I've ever heard her. She was answering questions. She was on the ball. She had rhetoricals. And I was like, wait, is this the same person? It's sort of like you go to the gym and you see somebody struggling lifting 50 pounds. And then all of a sudden you come back and they're deadlifting 600. It's like, yo, what happened? So basically, and then I started seeing her wear those earrings more and more often. I don't think she wore them on the Club Shay Shay interview. I don't think so. I don't think she wore them. That's probably the reason why she sounded like an idiot. But at the end of the day, if she was an actual viable candidate, if she really was a viable candidate, I would acknowledge that. And I would be like, okay, I'm more open. But the mere fact that she cackles like an idiot, she doesn't answer direct questions, she fully supports taking people's guns away, but now she wants to say, oh, I don't want to do it. That's BS, because she's merely reversing course because it's so close to the election. There's videos with her on record saying that she wants to take people's guns away, she wants to ban fracking, she wants to do all this other stuff. And then she's copying Trump's policies saying, oh, no taxes on tips. Now she's saying it. Like, come on, man. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm just not really a fan. So it just really just depends on your perspectives, which if you want to share them, I'll respect them, but it's hard for me to listen. It's like somebody telling me 3 + 3 is 20. It's like the math don't add up. So even if you're just sharing your opinion, it's hard for me to listen to somebody where I know that the person you're cheering for, they're currently in the White House right now. They haven't done a goddamn thing, and they're talking about, oh, I want a promotion to president now. What have you done? So anyway, man, I'm out. Again, like, share, comment, subscribe, help me grow. You know, I want to, you know, push this message out, and I definitely want to start. I want to get back onto the video game stuff and probably do some fitness stuff as well. So, you know, let's get after it. Anyway, take care. Peace.